The following program contains scenes which are violent in nature. The material is being performed by professionals and should not be attempted at home. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Mike Arsenault and welcome to Urban Self-Defense. In this series, we look at what happens when everyday urban situations become dangerous. Jason Carter of the Snow Lion Martial Arts Jujitsu Academy will show you some simple self-defense techniques that could potentially save your life. In this episode, we'll walk you through situations that are relevant for everyone because it's all about safety in streets and alleys. In this scenario, Jason takes a shortcut through an alley when he sees someone lurking behind the corner. What time is it? It's time to take out the trash.
Hey, you got the time at all?
I do.
What the? Hey buddy, you got the time at all?
Yeah, I do. You never know what's waiting behind a corner, so it's always important to be mindful of your surroundings and know how to react. So, and Jason, in this scenario, you're just asked a simple question, what time it is. Now, I wouldn't have an issue with this one because I don't wear a watch. I can tell time by the sun.
Unfortunately, many of us don't have that skill. So in this case, yeah, exactly. He asked me for the time to basically draw my attention from what he's about to do next. So in this case, yeah, he asked me for my time. I go to look for my watch, and he grabs me.
Okay, so he's grabbed your wrist. Okay, so you can't get away. Okay.
Exactly. From this point, something's going to happen.
So he's going to follow with a punch.
Exactly. So from here, he throws his punch. I'm basically coming across my body to block this incoming punch.
Well, what is this block called? Is this like the chop block we've had
basically,
before?
what we would call is an outside middle block. Okay? I'm coming across my body, and my goal is, again, to block the nerves of his arm. Because again, if I can numbify his arm, he's not going to swing it again.
So if you can't get your strike into the crook of his arm, is it still going to work?
Yep, there's another nerve up farther on the arm. Your biggest thing is, even if you don't hit a nerve, stop the punch.
Just stop the punch. Okay.
Exactly. So we stop the punch. From here, I've grabbed his wrist from underneath.
So now why are you grabbing his wrist?
Because in this situation, if I don't have a hold of his wrist, he could pull back this hand and strike me. He could let go of me and hit me with it. So I'm not going to give him that chance.
So it's almost you're keeping your friends close and enemies closer.
Exactly. I want control of this guy now. He's attacked me. I want to take control of the situation. Okay? For my own safety, I have to take control.
Okay, so we have the block. We have his
hand grab.
His wrist grab.
From here, I need to chop this guy down like a tree. Okay. So I'm going to step in, striking to the groin.
That's going to chop him down probably, yeah.
That'll take a notch out of him.
Yeah.
From here, I'm going to slide my hand up underneath his elbow. As I draw my hand up, I'm going to start bending his arm.
Okay.
Okay? So I make like a V. So I come up underneath his elbow. From here, I'm going to use this hand. I'm going to lift his elbow towards the sky. At the same time, take his hand towards the ground. Up and down motion.
Okay, so what you're doing there is you're putting a lot of stress on his shoulder.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm basically attacking his rotator cuff. Your shoulder does not like to roll in this position. If I continue this motion, I will dislocate his shoulder and cause permanent damage.
So because we just want to extricate ourselves from this situation, you don't want to do that permanent damage?
Not in this case unless I very much have to.
Okay.
So I put the pressure on. If you notice, his body starts to move for me because he's in pain. From here, I'm going to draw this hand in towards me, pushing his elbow towards my chest.
Okay, so you're digging, so the point of his elbow is digging into your breastbone there?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
If you notice, I've stayed very close to him. I don't want to give him space. I'm going to slide this hand out across his body, creating like a base. Pulling his elbow towards me. Okay, You've probably taken physics maybe once or twice in your life.
Once, well, I had to take it a few times in high school, but yeah.
There's one thing you do learn about a lever, fulcrum, lever, base.
I've heard of those words, yes.
Okay, and in the joint lock, it's exactly the same. The fulcrum is his elbow to me. Lever is the short of his arm. The base becomes this. It's physics. Fulcrum, lever, base, and it puts pressure on.
Okay, so now what is this move called?
This is basically an arm bar. I teach it from the ground position, the standing position, and everywhere in between.
I think I've actually seen Bob Backlund do an armbar in WrestleMania 3. Is that the same idea?
Same idea. Anytime you attack the integrity of the elbow, it's an arm bar.
Okay.
So in this position, I have caused a great deal of pain. And if you notice, I'm putting also pressure on the back of his knee, again, to keep him off balance, to keep him in control.
Okay, so you're putting pressure from your kneecap
My
into
kneecap to the back of his kneecap,
okay.
keeping him bent. So I've done the pressure here. From here, I'm going to shove really hard now with my knee, pushing him towards the floor, towards the ground.
So you mentioned earlier that it is kind of like chopping down a tree. So I mean, that's a good analogy to use because Kevin is a big guy.
That's right. He's about the size of a tree.
And just naturally, he'd have the advantage on you. So you kind of got to chop him down joint by joint, bit by bit, so you can get him in this kind of neutralized position.
I am taking advantage of all the weak points of his body.
Okay.
And we all have them.
You're not that weak, Kev. Don't worry about it.
And from here, to finish this off so I can safely get away without him chasing me down, I'm going to follow up with that palm heel that we discussed in another episode to the base of his head.
Now, what is that going to? Is that going to knock him out or just kind of stun him for a second?
It could very well, depending on how hard you hit him and how hard the man's head is.
Okay.
It could knock him out. If not, we've all been hit in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Probably once when we bopped our head, caused a lot of confusion. And this is what I need to do. I need to stop him. I need to get away. So straight to the back of the head, and from here I just push off. And I'm gone.
So it's like a boxing term. You want to stick and then move and then
exactly. I want to remove myself from the situation as fast and as safe as possible.
And then get out of the alley back into a more public area.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. We'll be right back on Urban Self-Defense.
Here's a self-defense technique you can learn in less than a minute. Typically done by fairly aggressive people. You go to shake their hand and they want to squeeze it. Well, the first thing I need to do when I shake this person's hand is protect my hand. So I'm going to turn my Peter pointer pointing up his arm. As soon as I do so, he can no longer squeeze my bones together. He's trying to squeeze my hand cross-grain, which really protects my hand. But I still need to get away. So I'm going to take my other hand, I'm going to slide my fingers nice and tight to the underside of his wrist and close my grip. So now I have a two-hand handshake on this fella. From here, I'm going to basically roll it towards me, causing pain onto his wrist. From here, I can now push from the back of his arm, pushing myself free to safety. We're going to do that one more time. Again, it grabs your wrist. I instantly point up so he can't squeeze my hand. Grab, roll him to the sky, push off, make some space for freedom and safety. That's one more tip to help keep you safe.
The streets are very busy and filled with lots of interesting people, and you never know what they might want. In this scenario, our attacker Kevin wants something from Jason. You'd think after 3 episodes, he'd learn his lesson by now. As always, I'm going to run through this scenario to show you that truly anyone can learn how to effectively defend themselves. Now, Jason, we're walking along on a nice, beautiful, sunny day when you're approached by an attacker.
Exactly.
Okay.
I require you much.
Well, I require you to have a day with pain and suffering, so you tell me which one you want first. Okay. All right. So we've engaged.
Yes, we've created. The first thing I want you to do is open up your hands.
Open. Oh, okay.
Okay? Because first thing is this: if this man's already aggressive, last thing you need to do is have him stand with your hands up.
So this is like baring my teeth to a wild animal.
Exactly.
Okay.
With your hands open, that way it looks a lot calmer. If someone came across the situation and seen you, you look like a defender now.
Okay.
So you start off, your hands are up.
Okay.
You say, hey, we want to reason with this fella first. You don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
But as we've learned, reason doesn't work with Kevin.
It doesn't.
So he's got his fist balled and he's going to come at me with a punch.
Exactly. So
Okay.
the first thing you want to remember is you don't want to be where he's punching.
Okay.
So he's going to step into punch, and all I want you to do is you're going to step off to your left, at the same time execute that outside middle block.
So I'm going to the outside. Okay, so is this like in baseball? So if you get beaned in baseball, you turn away from the pitch, so you're not opening up your body. You don't want to turn into the pitch because you're opening up this area here.
Exactly.
So I don't want to go this way when he can still catch me.
Exactly. You're going to move away from him, out to the safe side.
Okay, so here comes the punch. I deflect it.
Excellent. You've done your block. That's the first thing. First and foremost, you've evaded the punch, the strike. Now what we need to do is get you out of the situation quick. So you're going to reach up, you're going to reach and grab the bill of his hat with your fingers in, thumb on top.
Fingers in,
thumb on top.
Just like that. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Now now you want to slide in a little closer to him.
Do I still have the block up?
At first you can, because in a second you're going to use that hand for something else.
Then I move in. Okay.
Exactly. You're going to pull that hat down over his eyes so he can't see. Causes confusion.
He's blind, yeah.
From here, think of it, you're turning off the lid to a ketchup jar. You're going to spin his head around.
Oh
exactly.
My God. Perfect. Like the Exorcist.
Like the Exorcist.
Okay.
So you're going to reach underneath now. You're basically holding the hat in place using the small bones of your hand.
Okay.
Okay, because that should be resting now between the bill of his hat and the bridge of his nose.
So this is just to keep pressure on the hat so he still can't see.
Exactly. Now it's going to start causing a lot of pressure because you're putting pressure now on the bridge of his nose with the small bones of your hand. You're going to clasp your two hands together.
So take my free hand.
It comes up underneath.
Like
grabs
this?
from underneath. Perfect.
Okay.
Now using the small bones of your wrist, you're going to pull it in tight towards him and think of it like starting your car. You're going to run your hand up, boom. Okay, you do it really hard, it's going to break his nose.
How does this feel, Kev?
I don't like it.
He doesn't like it. So now you got his eyes watered, his nose could be broken.
Okay.
You're going to take your foot, your back leg, you're going to lift your foot, and you're going to stomp on the back of his leg. Push him down.
Oh.
Boom.
Okay,
Excellent.
so now by me hitting the back of his knee there, that's going to, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's going to destroy all the ligaments, ACL, MCL.
It can. The biggest thing is we need to get him down off from a standing position so you can safely get away.
Okay, so now, I mean, I've neutralized the height advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
You've dropped him down, you've kicked him.
And I still have this pulled in.
You've dropped him down, you've broke his nose.
Yeah.
Now you can safely shove him forwards, get him away from you, and now you can safely get away. Because by the time his eyes stop watering, you're going to be long gone.
Yeah, okay. So, just going back to the start, so if he punches at my stomach, what if he punches at the face? I can still do the same thing.
Same block, it happens, we'll try it again.
Okay.
We'll have Kevin now punch a little higher.
Okay.
Same block, same situation,
So
boom.
I'm still up there, and then I can still get...
But now what you're going to do is you've done your block.
Yeah.
Okay, we got back to your block.
Yeah.
Push his arm down. Now reach up and grab his bill.
Okay, so I just want to create that separation.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if he punches to your stomach, to your chest, or even to your face. The situation, the technique is the same. We still execute that outside block. We still grab the bill of his hat and we give him a spin, clasping your hands, pulling in, and rolling your wrists as if you're starting your car.
Okay,
Pop.
so now I know we don't, like the goal here is not to hurt our attacker badly. We just want to extricate ourselves, right? But when you're doing that turn, actually, Kev, I hate to do this to you. Can you just get back on your knee for 1 sec? Or just even here, just to make this easier. So if I'm here like this and I'm doing the spin, won't that wrench his neck, and couldn't you do some damage to his neck there?
The nice thing is his head will turn with you. Okay? Once you get that hat down, there's something you can do to help this man take a little pressure off his body. As you start to turn, that hand that you blocked with, give him a little shove on his lower back. What that will do is cause his chest to come out, his lower back to stink in. Boom, and now his weight is gone as well. Now you have better control over him as well, and it helps him get his body turned.
Okay, that's almost like, so you're going to spin him around quicker. It's kind of greasing the wheel type thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have that. So instead of, on this again, Kev, one more time. So when I have him here, and I'm doing this thing, so instead of the starting the car, like it's not starting, can I just do one big pull as well?
And that's all it is. When I say start the car, you're going to turn your key once in this car.
Okay,
it starts every time.
This isn't the winner. There's no issues there.
No, it's in, twist,
and just
pop
really hard, and that's either going to break his nose or definitely cause his eyes to water.
Oh yeah, and both.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kev. I think that's all for this.
Oh
this
no. You don't get away that easy on this show. Now you get to do it yourself without my help. So we'll let Kevin back up, and he's going to throw a punch at you.
Okay.
Remember the first rule. What's that? Avoid the punch.
Avoid the punch. All right, let's do this, big fella.
Excellent.
Pretty
not
good?
bad. Not bad for your first time.
There we go. All right, there you have it. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Kevin. We'll be right back on Urban Self-Defense.
Here's a self-defense technique you can learn in less than a minute. And we're doing it from a headlock. Man grabs you. First thing I want to do is protect my chin and my throat. So I'm going to turn my chin in towards his body. From here, I'm going to clap myself to freedom. I'm going to strike his groin. Clap, clap, clap. Once I have his attention, I'm going to draw my hand up across his face. From here, I'm going to do a circular motion, drawing his head, controlling his nose to my hip. Now I have him here. We're going to throw a well-placed groin kick in, push off to freedom. We're going to do that one more time a little quicker. So I am in a headlock, turn myself chin in, clap myself free, roll him over, kick, push off to freedom. There's one more tip to help keep you safe.
Mama always said life is like a box of donuts. You never know which ones are cream-filled or who may be carrying a knife at a bus stop. In this scenario, Jason uses an unconventional weapon to defend against a knife attack.
Oh, hey, buddy, please, I don't want to do this, man.
Every day, thousands ride the bus, and with that many people, you'll never know when a violent situation could erupt. Now, Jason, you're just standing here at a bus stop.
Yes.
Minding your own business, waiting for a bus with your magazine, and then Kevin approaches. So first of all, I can tell you right now, the big mistake you made was turning your back to him, because you saw him when you came up,
Yep.
and you put your back to him.
And most cases you will. I don't expect him to hopefully jump out and attack me with a knife. But in this case, it happened. And the first thing is exactly right. It's not to panic. It's a horrible situation to get caught into, and you don't want to create panic right away. So in this situation, I had my back to him. So when he came up and placed the knife to my back, the first thing I want to do is get my hands down and look over my peripheral vision and see him, and basically try to talk to him at first. Say, hey, I don't want to do this. That's
so now, in your mind right there, are you trying not to make a sudden movement? Like you don't want to jerk because then he's gonna stab you.
I don't want to do anything that's going to surprise him too fast and move, because yeah, exactly right. He has a knife to my back. If I suddenly jar and cause him to just stab, the situation's all done.
So as we discussed earlier too, you don't want to be fixed clenched either, right?
No.
You want open hands, kind of a...
Exactly. I drop my hands. If you notice, I kind of open them, saying, hey, we don't want to do this. And I'm looking. And from here, first thing I do, if you notice why my hands are down and back, I can clear this knife. First thing. I need to remove the blade from my lower back.
So is this basically the calm before the storm? So you're not doing anything to kind of anger Kevin, right?
Aggravate him or anger, exactly.
Relaxed and then
hey,
boom.
I don't want to do this. And from here you have to explode. It's like a speed skater or a racer. Boom, we move.
Okay, so we clear the knife out of the way.
Taking the butt of a magazine now. Since we're using the magazine has an incredible amount of crushing force this way. It takes a lot of force. So in this case, we're going to use that to our advantage. So with the knife to my back, I try to reason, hey, we don't want to do this. Clear the blade. As I turn, I'm taking the butt of the magazine and I'm striking him in the side of the neck.
So why in the side of the neck and why not the chin? Because we talked about a soft spot in the chin in earlier episodes, so why the neck this time?
Running down the side of your neck, you have a major artery down both sides. It pumps blood from your heart to your brain, back down. What I want to do is disrupt that flow of blood.
So if you hit him hard enough there, that's going to disrupt the flow just for a brief second, and that's going to kind of put him off balance.
Hitting him hard enough, he will black out. He will drop like a rock. But in this case, since he has a knife, I don't want to stop there. I want to make sure I remove this weapon, because like I spoke before, this is my concern. Not that hand, not his feet, this is my concern.
Okay, so after the block, so that's cleared, are you grabbing, so then you're grabbing the wrist as well?
Exactly.
Okay.
I need control over this hand and where this knife is.
Okay.
So as I turn, again, I clear the knife from my body, grab the wrist, strike.
Okay. Now, how many are we going for? one strike or just as many as
right
it takes?
Now, again, I'm more concerned about his knife. So if I keep hitting him here, he can start stabbing me here.
Okay.
So I'm going to strike, hook his head. I don't want him to take off from me.
With the magazine?
Exactly,
Okay.
using the other side of the magazine. From here, a well-placed soccer kick to the groin.
Which is a recurring theme here on Urban Self-Defense, groin kicks.
Exactly. From here now, I'm going to take the butt of this, again, and start driving a nerve in the forearm. It is right here on the outside of your arm. This nerve will cause, see how he flinches?
Yeah.
As I press it, it causes a great deal of pain, but also will cause his hand to start to numb.
And to open up, and
Exactly.
then the knife's going to come out.
So after I've did my well-placed groin kick, I'm going to repeatedly start striking that until the weapon drops out of his hand.
Okay.
As soon as the weapon is clear, from here I'm going to come back across with that palm heel, striking his head.
Now, you're aiming for the temple, cheek, or ear, or
In this case, preferably the jawline, boom, or the temple, or if you have to, even box the side of his ears. You ever had your ear boxed?
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with the compression of your eardrum, but also the strike in the head as well.
So basically all we want from here is whatever you can do in the side of the head to get him away from
Exactly. Because the first thing I do had to get rid of the blade, get rid of the knife.
And so the knife is down. Are you going to try and kick that out of the way or deal with him first?
If I have time, after I've hit him, again, if you've noticed, I'm either going to step on it or kick it away and out of there. I don't want to leave it at his feet, preferably, because he could grab it. And this time, since we're in the open, I have lots of time to run into traffic and get help, run down the street, get help.
Or hopefully the bus is coming close.
Hopefully the bus is, I get on the bus and he's laying there and I can take my bus home. Exactly.
Or you can take his token.
To use his token.
There you go. All right, great. Thank you, Jason. If you want to see more of Urban Self-Defense or more of Kevin taking a beating, visit RogersTV.com. We'll be right back after these messages.
Here's a self-defense technique you learn in less than a minute. We like to call this a lapel grab or a tough guy grab. Someone grabs you. Well, first thing I need to do is I need to get him a little closer to me. He could be pretty tall, could be pretty long-armed. So I'm going to take my one hand and I'm going to drop it on the top side of his elbow, on the inside of his arm. My other hand is going to come up, striking him in the chin using the palm of my hand. You try to do this in one simple motion. So it's strike, pull him in. I pull him towards me. From here, I'm going to grab a hold of his chin, circling his head in a circle towards the floor, controlling him to the ground, push off, and make some space. We're going to try that one more time, a little quicker this time. So he grabs, strike, turn his head, drop him to the floor, push off, make some space. There's one more tip to help keep you safe.
Welcome back to the show. Now, Jason, I know you're the self-defense expert, but I think the best piece of advice that I can gather from this episode is don't walk in alleys.
Exactly. I'm not saying don't walk through alleys. If you have to, be aware of surroundings. I prefer people not to. Take the street. It's much safer. You don't know what can always be in an alley. And it's not just alleys you need to worry about. Even on the street, when you're out walking down the street, and if you're walking along the street and you feel like there's someone following you, there's a great thing every street has, and that's all that mirrors and windows beside you, storefronts. Use those as a mirror.
Actually, I stare at myself in mirrors every time I walk down the street, so.
And this time, now, instead of staring at yourself, stare at what's around you.
Okay.
See who's behind you. Because if you're walking along and you truly feel there's someone behind you, don't be afraid. Walk into the next door. Walk right up to the counter and look at the lady and say, is there someone following me? Because if there is, she might say yes. Say, could you please call 911 for me? And if you also notice in this scenario, when I cut around the corner, I cut it really tight. And I did that at a purpose. That is to show you what not to do. When you come around a corner, always take it wide. It's like in the parking lot, when I was talking about the parking lots the other episode. As when you go walk around a corner, take it wide so you can see what is coming up to you.
So yeah, in that scenario, you were lucky enough that Kevin was kind of up the alley a little bit. If he was right around the corner, he could hit you before you even know what happened and you have no time to defend yourself.
I'd have no chance to even defend myself in that situation. And that goes for many things that we do on the street. And you need to watch out for is texting and cell phones. Everybody loves their cell phone. Everyone loves to text. But make sure when you're walking, don't text and walk. Exactly. I watch this every day. People out there, they're carrying that $400, $500, $800 cell phone in their hand. They're staring at it as they're walking along texting.
Well, I mean, you almost run in everyone, right? Because they're not paying no attention, and they're going to walk straight into you, right?
Exactly. And that's what people are looking for. When you're not paying attention to your surroundings, that is when, unfortunately, someone will take advantage of you.
So they can just smash and grab it, and then they're out of there before you even know what happened.
And you can't even call for help because they have your cell phone. Another thing that we watch out for, and I enjoy music. I'm a big music fan. I love MP3s, but I'm not a big fan of people that jog with them with both earbuds in. Because once you do that, you can't hear your surroundings anymore.
Especially the volume most people listen to their headphones on, they wouldn't be able to hear a car horn behind them, so they're not going to hear a person sneak up.
Exactly. Have one earbud in. You can still listen to your music. Mono is okay. If you want to hear it loud, wait till you get back to your car and turn it up.
So, I mean, those are great tips. So I guess what's the overarching theme of this episode, how to stay safe in streets and alleys? What's the main takeaway?
Main take, like I've always said, be mindful of your surroundings. If you prepare yourself mentally and knowing what to look for, you'll have a much safer time out in your neighborhood.
Perfect. For Jason Carter, I'm Mike Arsenault. We'll see you next week on Urban Self-Defense.